The World to Come. The Restored Church of God presents David C. Pack, answering life's greatest questions straight from the Bible and announcing the wonderful good news of the world to come.
This 7-part series is of colossal importance. We are deep into explaining the confusing and long misunderstood beast of Revelation. This is part 4. We have so far identified the beast through history and learned its connection to the 4 beasts of Daniel 7, as well as the giant image in Daniel 2, composed of 4 metals. We saw this represented 4 world empires, beginning with ancient Babylon and concluding with the Roman Empire. We've also identified each of the 2 beasts of Revelation 13. The first, which is like a lion, bear, and leopard, but having great iron teeth, and the second, the mysterious and largely ignored 2-horned beast. We have also clearly identified the Revelation 17 great whore with her harlot daughters, who rides yet another different scarlet-colored beast. And we have seen how this same counterfeit political religious system will produce one final all-powerful civil leader who will work alongside a seductive, miracle-working, also yet to be revealed religious figure called the false prophet. And we have seen where this second figure will come from. Finally, we have seen how this universal system has long persecuted the true saints of God. But other crucial questions remain. Some involve what else there is to know about the false prophet. There is also the question of the enigmatic number 666 associated with the beast. How is this explained? Then there is the question of the image of the beast that Revelation speaks of. What is this? What role will it play? And then there is the all-important but universally misunderstood mark of the beast. What is this mark? We will learn that God answers all of these questions in His Word. They are not left, none of them, to human opinion and interpretation. Far too much is at stake to get any of these questions wrong. Remember, short answers must always give way to longer, complete, and right answers. The Bible speaks of the beast carrying the number 666. There are endless opinions and theories about this number. Seemingly, more arrive daily. But, like all aspects of the beast, we must let God reveal the answer to this mystery. First, we will read the only 5 references to the number and then discuss them. They're all found in just 2 passages. 666 is mentioned just once. First is Revelation chapter 13, verses 17 and 18. Notice, "And that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Now Revelation 15:2. "And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, having the harps of God." These clear points emerge. 1. All who will are told to count or add up the number. 2. The number is 666. 3. The beast has this number, and this is what identifies it, if we exercise wisdom in properly counting it. 4. 666 is the number of a kingdom, government, or empire, or of the king who establishes or leads it. Recall Daniel 7 and several verses there. And 5, the terms the name of the beast, or the number of his name, and it is the number of a man, directly identify the number as both the name of the kingdom, empire, or government, and the king or ruler that leads it. If God says to count the number, He obviously intends that we can do this. There are a number of important and famous names that are linked to the Roman Empire and Rome itself. The name Rome, and thus the Roman Empire, is derived from its first king and founder, Romulus. Quite literally, this name is stamped on every man, woman, and child within the kingdom, as well as on all of its kings and the kingdom itself. Many have recognized this much, but have failed to recognize that they should not count the number in Latin, but rather in Greek, the language in which God inspired the New Testament to be written. Remember, the Apostle John wrote Revelation in Greek. Ignoring this point has caused many to apply 666 to the Pope by claiming that the phrase Vicarius Filii Dei is written on the Pope's triple crown. While the Pope has such a crown, these words are not on it. Besides, these are Latin words, which do not apply to a kingdom or empire, but would only apply to a man, the Pope. Also, these words are a title, not a name. In the 2nd century AD, it was recognized that Romulus' name was originally spelled Latinos, L-A-T-E-I-N-O-S, meaning the name of Latium or Latin man. The Romans took their language and origin from this region. Like the value of Roman numerals, the Greeks also assigned values to letters. In the Greek, L counts for 30, A is 1, T is 300, E is 5, I is 10, N is 50, O is 70, S is 200, totaling precisely 666. It is not then strange or incorrect to conclude that every citizen, king, and the kingdom itself adds up to or counts to 666. Now consider Benito Mussolini. He called himself El Duce, which means the leader or the chief. Everywhere he went, people proclaimed Viva il Duce, meaning long live the chief. The Italians abbreviated this on signs throughout Italy as Vivi il Duce. This time, let's count the name in Latin, recognizing that the letter U was commonly replaced with a V. V is 5, twice, I is 1, L is 50, D is 500, V again is 5 more, C is 100, E has no number. The total, precisely 666 again. The beast and Roman Empire have been identified. Do not be afraid to let the calculation tell you the answer. God says to count, and this is what we did. Other names may appear and strengthen the picture with the passing of time. Recall that the Revelation 17 woman is a false church that rides the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns. We've established that the beast she is riding is a great world empire that exists until Christ's return. Like one who rides a horse, camel, or elephant, the woman directs, controls, and guides the animal to go where she wants it to go and to do what she wants it to do. 2 individuals, known as the beast and the false prophet, will lead this religious governmental system. Revelation chapter 16, verses 13 and 14 describe demons as having the power to work miracles through their system. The embodiment of the final beast will be a single charismatic figure who arrives on the world scene shortly before Christ's return. This time will now soon arrive. Also, the final great false prophet will lead the world to worship the beast as God. Read Revelation 13:8, 16:2, and 19:20. This deception will be so great, chapter 18, verse 3, so widespread that they will actually deceive all mankind into fighting Jesus Christ at his second coming. Chapter 16, verse 9, and 13 to 16, and chapter 17, verses 13 and 14. Now notice 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4, and verse 8. Verse 3 refers to one called the man of sin and the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Recognize that the false prophet also professes that he is God. Compare this with Ezekiel chapter 28 and verse 2 and the reference there to the prince of Tyrus, who is a man. Ezekiel wrote that this prince says, I am a god. I sit in the seat of God. 2 Thessalonians 2 and verse 8 also describes this man of sin, as it says, as the wicked one who would be revealed for what he is when Christ returns and destroys him with the beast in a lake of fire. See Revelation 19 and verse 20. Isaiah 14:4 refers to the false prophet as the king of Babylon. Take time to read it. This is the same man as the prince of Tyrus in Ezekiel. Continuing in 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 9 makes a startling statement about the false prophet. It says that his coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. Verse 10 shows that he is able to deceive everyone who does not love the truth. Verse 11 reveals that God shall send strong delusion to all who willingly believe his lies. The leaders of this dominating false system will be directly possessed by the devil. This will give the false prophet tremendous power to deceive and perform miracles. Satan, having always wanted to replace God with himself, will speak through this human religious leader and declare to the whole world that he is, in fact, God. The Bible warning is unmistakable. The miracles he performs will deceive the vast majority. In the midst of all these passages about the beast, its mark and image, the false prophet, and their final battle with Jesus Christ at his coming, and punishment on those who have the mark, is an inset, a most solemn warning quoted by John from Jesus Christ directly in his own words to his servants. For those who are or wish to become one of them is this admonishment. Behold, I come as a thief, as Christ often described his sudden, unexpected return. Blessed is he that watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Ephesians 6, verses 12 to 14, describes what has been called the gospel armor. The word naked means indecent exposure in the Greek, a problem solved by having one's loins girded about with truth, as Paul recorded. The work of the false prophet will continue all the way to Armageddon. Now read Revelation chapter 16 and verse 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, Satan, and out of the mouth of the beast, the civil end-time ruler, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, the religious leader guiding the beast. Verse 14 states, For they are the spirits of devils, or demons, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of God Almighty. These spirits of devils or demons are the fallen angels who followed Lucifer, now Satan, in his insurrection against the Creator. Here's how the Bible describes the beast and false prophet working together. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him, Jesus Christ, that sat on the horse, and against his army. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and then that had worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with brimstone. Now let's read the full description of how the false prophet works. Let's see the reach of his power, influence, and ability through miracles and lying wonders to bring the whole world to worship the beast, the final civil Roman ruler. This following longer passage in Revelation 13, verses 11 to 17, removes all doubt that the 2-horned beast we discussed earlier is the woman of Revelation 17, and the final false prophet represents this woman church working in concert with the beast. And I beheld another beast, the second beast, coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast of Revelation 13, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. That's the first beast again of Revelation 13, which had the wound by a sword and did live, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, the first beast again, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. These verses speak 4 times of the image of the beast and of the all-important mark of the beast. Both require examination. The Bible is a book about government, how God governs his church and his work, and the gospel of the kingdom of God, how he will govern the entire world upon Christ's return. The world also has its own many forms of government. This includes churches, which are governed in various ways, none of them after the fashion of God's government. The great counterfeit universal false church system that counterfeits everything of God has also fashioned its government after a certain model. This knowledge has everything to do with the image of the beast. Let's understand by looking at the two-horned beast. The second beast of Revelation 13, besides causing people to receive the beast's mark, also was responsible for creating an image that led to the martyrdom of true saints. Yet it was not this church that killed them for not worshiping the image. It caused them to be put to death. History reveals the saints were killed and persecuted by civil government under the direction of the false church, who had labeled them heretics and anathema from Christ. Now let's compare the woman of Revelation 17 with the two-horned beast of Revelation 13, who causes the beast to kill those who refuse the mark. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. There can be no doubt that these two are the same. But how were the people deceived into worshiping the image of the beast? Notice, and the false prophet in context deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, the civil leader, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast. What is the beast's image? First, what is the dictionary definition of image? Let's notice. The second edition of the Webster's New International Dictionary defines it as, quote, representation, modeled figure, likeness, semblance, a copy or counterpart. Now notice this statement from the Cyclopedia of Biblical, Theological, and Ecclesiastical Literature. Quote, the first pope in the real sense of the word was Leo I, A.D. 440 to 461. Being endowed by nature with the old Roman spirit of dominion and being looked upon as contemporaries in consequence both of his character and his position as the most eminent man of the age, he developed in his mind the ideal of an ecclesiastical monarchy with the Pope at the head. Pope Leo admired the Roman Empire for the government structure it had and copied its principles in creating the papacy of the Roman Catholic Church. It is this form of church government that is the image or semblance of the beast. This great false church models its ecclesiastical church government after, in structure and organization, the ancient Roman civil government. God's government is not a humanly devised structure based on pagan ideas or man-made laws. It is based solely on God's law and will be led by Jesus Christ and the resurrected, Spirit-begotten saints. It is this divine government that exists in God's true church today. Further, Philip Van Ness Myers, in his work Ancient History, confirms what we read about Leo. Quote, during the reign of Leo I, the church set up within the Roman Empire an ecclesiastical state government, which in its constitution and its administrative system was shaping itself upon the imperial model. This author could plainly see the church government was indeed modeled after the Roman Empire's system of governance. He even called it an ecclesiastical world empire. So then, people were deceived into worshiping the church, which was organized in the likeness of a man-made form of government, the ancient Roman imperial model. Thus, all such worshipers commit idolatry. Also notice this verse in Revelation 17. Upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. This false church is called a mother of harlots. These daughters protested against her. Collectively, the mother church and her harlot daughters are called Babylon. These churches all have a form of worldly government and are based on pagan customs and false doctrines, yet claim to be Christian. Do you now see how Satan so cleverly has counterfeited God's government and why God tells his people to come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins? Few prophecies in the Bible are as fascinating to its readers as is the subject of the mark of the beast. As with other prophecies described in this series, theories attempting to explain this mark abound. This intriguing, mysterious mark is much talked about, but almost universally misunderstood. Some believe it is a computer chip implanted in people's foreheads or right hands. Others have thought it was Hitler's swastika, and still others have thought it has been this or that government program. Despite endless sermons preached and articles written about its possible meaning, millions remained baffled by it. It is time the mark is understood. Revelation 14 pictures three angels bearing three messages, verses 6 to 11. These messages announce the fall of Babylon through the 7 last plagues and warn against receiving the mark of the beast. Many prophecies show that all who belong to the great false church-state system will ignore the warning and will be deceived into receiving it. The prophecies that describe the mark are stark and horrible. Sadly, most all preachers focus on just one passage to the exclusion of the many others on the subject. Let's read it. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. This is a critical statement because it speaks of some kind of a universal mark backed by authority in a way that controls people's ability to conduct normal matters of commerce, buying and selling. Those who do not have the mark are isolated from the most routine matters of purchasing food, goods, and services. This alone makes the mark extremely important to understand. So pay very careful attention. Being able to buy and sell goods is certainly essential, something everyone needs to be able to do. But understand, this is not speaking of whether stores and retail establishments will be willing to sell goods to people without the mark, but rather whether people can earn a living meaning a wage and a salary, to have an income, if they do not have it. The implication of the Greek is that one will not be able to buy or sell, will not have money in hand to do so, because he is unemployed. So then the mark of the beast involves ability to obtain and hold a job in order to make a living. Obviously then, vast millions will have it, and it will have to be considered desirable and attractive, or else the masses would not seek or accept it. But the mark will be a trap to those who are charmed by the surface of its attraction. Because here's what will happen to all those who receive it. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. And the 7 angels came out of the temple in heaven, having the 7 plagues, clothed in pure and white linen, and having their breasts girded with golden girdles. And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the 7 angels, Go your ways and pour out the vials, the plagues, of the wrath of God upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth. And there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon the men which had the mark of the beast, and upon them who worshipped his image. This is terribly serious. Horrible punishment straight from God will fall on all who have taken this mark. However unwittingly they did this, the result will be the same. Horrible plagues on all, including you or me, if we have this mark. To get a complete picture of the mark of the beast, we must study all of the verses that pertain to it. There are many, and studying just a few will not reveal the full truth. Using imagination and human reasoning to invent various silly conclusions, and some are truly ludicrous, about what the mark of the beast may be, only serves to further deceive and confuse those with interest in the subject, and everyone should have great interest. Now ask, would God foretell plagues on all those who receive the mark, and then leave mankind in the dark about what it is? Would he say, in effect, I'm going to pour out terrifying, horrible plagues, causing the death of vast millions on those who receive the mark of the beast, but I will not tell you what it is or how to avoid it, how to escape? Comprehend this vital point. Men cannot reveal the meaning of or explain the mark. Only God can. Plain reality is that he must do this, and he does tell us most plainly exactly what it is. In the next broadcast, part 5 of the series, we will examine and understand the nature of the beast's mark in a way that you cannot misunderstand. And you will be left with no doubt and with one of the greatest decisions of your life. In the meantime, read Who or What is the Beast of Revelation. It carefully covers all topics discussed in this series. You will also want to subscribe to our free magazine, The Real Truth. It is like no other magazine you will ever read. It addresses the real causes behind all the bad effects seen around the world today. It is filled with powerful articles, and you will want to read them all. Until next time, this is David C. Pack saying goodbye, friends.
This program was made available by Restored Church of God members and donors from around the globe. Explore our vast library of literature and other World to Come programs, which are all made available free of charge. To learn more or to find a local congregation, contact us to receive a personal response from a minister.